she said. "I think I should go to this thing by myself," I said, and sat more. "I think you should go home to the middle of the block, and I'll go someplace in this cab. I'll be back later or something." "What are you—" She stood on the corner and wiped her eye again, but now she was crying. Somehow she was crying by the time we reached the same corner and were almost all the way into a cab. "I'm going," I said, and shut the door. She stared at me through the window like I was maybe nothing. The cab driver asked me where I wanted to go, and I told him 79th Street, and then I apologized for making him wait like that at the corner, and I told him I would give him an extra couple of bucks or something. "Don't worry about it," he said, and looked at me in the rear-view mirror, a polite smile. His eyes veered off my reflection and onto the reflection of the traffic behind us, so we could merge, and we merged. And that's when, immediately, I fell in love with my cab driver. "I changed my mind," I told him. Then I decided I shouldn't tell him, not yet. His cab number was 6J108. His first name was Peter, I saw, and his last name looked like somebody had just dropped their forearm onto the typewriter keyboard, someplace in Europe, I guess. "Penn Station. I have to go somewhere." I felt the weight of the lie I had told Andrea, enormous and undeserved, and vowed I'd never do something like that again. But not telling Peter everything that was in my heart wasn't a lie, right? That was just good timing. That was just being sensitive. "I don't have to go somewhere," I said. "Not really. But I think I should go somewhere." "Okay," he said. It didn't make a difference to him, and I loved him all the more for it. We turned left. "You have pretty eyes," I said. "Yeah," Peter said. "It's pretty nice, since they cleaned it up." "So you've had surgery," I said. "That's okay. Some people think it's vanity, but I don't think it's any more vain than buying a sweater. It's funny we're talking about sweaters because I lost one in a taxi once. It was blue, a nice shade of blue. Andrea and I, that's the girl, Andrea, who kept you waiting because I was breaking up with her, we were first going out. This was maybe 3 years ago. We caught a cab at the very same corner, actually, where I met you, Peter. And we were chatting about this and that on our way to a party, I think a party, and we started kissing, and you know how that goes. "Shit!" Peter said. Somebody in front of us had done something. "I'm sorry," I said. "I don't mean to distract you. To make a long story short, we lost the sweater." "It's okay," Peter said and pulled up to the curb. To my dismay, we were there already. I rolled down the window to get a better look. Penn Station swerved to the left, and for a moment I thought there had been another catastrophe, but it was just me swerving to the right. Peter was parking the cab in a rare, empty spot across the street, one kernel of corn sticking in the gap between somebody's teeth. "I gotta have a cup of coffee," Peter explained, "so I'm going to stop here, if it's okay?" The clock in his car hadn't adjusted to daylight savings time yet, and said it was 4:15 when it was really 5:15. Peter probably didn't have time to fiddle with it, or it was tricky, as car clocks are. I didn't mind. You can't mind these things, you just can't, for to dislike what makes a person human is to dislike all humans, or at least other people who can't work clocks. You have to love the whole person if you are truly in love. If you are going to take a lifelong journey with somebody, you can't mind if the other person believes they are leaving for that journey an hour earlier than you, as long as truly, in the real world, you are both leaving at exactly the same time. He turned to face me, and I saw what I owed him. "Here you go," I said, opening my wallet and handing him something. It was risky not to look at the bill, but I wanted him to know that I considered the commercial aspect of our relationship over and done with. "Here you go," I said again, because a garbage truck was going by and I couldn't be sure he had heard me the first time. "And yes, it's more than okay. I would love to have a cup of coffee with you." Peter was already outside, looking up and down the street and waiting for me to leave the cab and join him. I stepped out and everything looked ugly. Spots of gum on the street and smoke in all the oxygen. They say that when you're really in love, the world becomes gossamer and gorgeous. But in my experience, with Peter, and I suppose in a more naive time in my life, with Andrea and Bob Dylan, the world gets grimy, and the love object is in stark relief from the surroundings. This is love, a pretty thing on an ugly street, and why wouldn't you pick it up if it appeared in a cab? Finders keepers is what they say, and I wanted to be kept. I could see, in this stark relief, every inch of Peter's clothing as he nodded politely to me and began to walk toward a grimy little diner place, Sal's. Black jeans, a sort of olive green jacket with a rip on one of the elbows covered in masking tape. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I won't bore you with the details of Sal's. Peter walked ahead of me to a booth, and after wondering if I dared sit next to him rather than across, I slid into the across seat. Best to give him space. I didn't let the fact that I apparently no longer lived at 37th and What's-It pressure us into moving in together. I knew I could probably find a studio month to month. Ridiculous, maybe, but if you live in New York, real estate decisions can often supersede any other issues in a relationship, and it can be ugly, ugly. 2 coffees, I told somebody who worked at Sal's, and they brought them at the exact same time. Peter said. He looked confused. I understand, I said. It's overwhelming, isn't it? I'm sorry, I'll shut up. You talk. Milk? I don't have a lot of time, Peter said, taking it black. I made a note for the coffees we drink in the future. I'm sort of on the schedule. I understand, I said. We can just take it easy. I should probably catch a train at some point, see my dad, tell him what happened. Okay, Peter said, but I could tell it wasn't okay. He was looking over my shoulder, making a little jiggling motion with a clasped hand, like he was running a pen through the air. I guess I could say it in a letter, I agreed, if that would help things any. The check came, and I threw another bill on it without looking. But it's really quite simple. Amazing, isn't it, that something like this happens so frequently, yet it boils down to 3 simple words. Yeah, okay, Peter said, and swallowed the rest of his coffee. He was bracing himself, I realized. He thought maybe I would reject him. I reached across the table over the bill, which I now noticed was a 5, and tried to take one of his sweetly veined hands. He pulled away, stood up, snake-bit. What are you? He said. Some kind of faggot? Not if it upsets you so much, I said. I remained sitting, looking up at him like a visit to a volcano, my Vesuvius, my Mauna Loa, spouting love lava all over this ugly, ugly town. Labels, Peter, that's all. Labels, you know? How the hell you know my name? He asked, and backed up 5 steps. He bumped up against somebody, turned around quickly with a half-wave of apology. It was somebody he didn't know. He had bumped up against a stranger. How the hell you know my name? Peter, I cried out, and he left me in Sal's. I hurried the length of this stupid restaurant. Why had I come here? Why not show him a little respect? A salad, sushi. I had the money. I could spend it all on him. My Fuji, my Etna. What did it matter? My father wasn't dead. But when he died, I would surely get something, and by then I was positive I'd be assistant manager. We could manage. This real estate jungle couldn't tear us apart. Peter! But Peter was already at his cab, looking at the ground and shaking his head in a tired, self-hating gesture. Denial, probably. The great exhauster. Or maybe just a weary glance at all that sidewalk gum. The world was caving in on him, too, but my love wanted to run for it. Afraid of commitment, like all single men, he wanted to slipstream forever, picking up whatever stranger spotted him first. Peter! Without answering, he took his black jeans and jumped into his cab and merged, looking, I knew, into his rear-view mirror at the reflection of traffic swarming around us. I love you! I called. Peter went by, and then a bus with black smoke behind it, like the appearance of an evil queen. For a moment, Penn Station shook in turmoil, a bubbling and gaseous Penn Station. But then the smoke cleared, and the building was fully upright, proud as the truth printed out in big, bright stencils. 6J10.